kids in school used to say we'll never need to know this in the real world. What, in your experience, were they wrong about? Matrices. If you end up going into any field that deals with a lot of data, they taught matrices in the stupidest way in school, without telling you why they're useful or why the multiplication is so weird. It was just this weird way of writing numbers with rules that made no sense and everyone hated it. Now I use linear algebra every day. This is actually why I asked the question in the first place. I use matrices nearly every day now, but I was guilty of thinking they were pointless back in school. I definitely agree that some explanation would have helped. If a train leaves the station at 8 AM going 70 miles per hour, I'm a traffic controller, and I do this calculation 40 times an hour. If a traffic controller is calculating at 40 times an hour. Before you learn to run, you must learn to walk. You learn things not just to know them, but to build upon them. I'd say that 90% of the stuff I learned in secondary school is useful in the real world, if you understand it. Fractions and percentages. So useful for baking and shopping. $20 sweater is 20% off. That's only $4. Is it still worth $16? It blows my mind how next to nobody understand why I won't drive to a store 20 minutes away to buy my laundry detergent because it's 15% off there. Yeah, 15% on an item that's like $8 normally. I will gladly sacrifice the $1.20 to go to the store that is literally walking distance instead. In trade school for welding, I'm wanting to do pipe and it requires algebra. Small groups. It blows my mind how many adults are completely miserable to work with in a small group. On the other hand, I've worked with other groups where I've thought, Rick, we should start our own business or something because of how seamlessly and cohesively we work together. Basically, interpersonal skills are important. Just like math and everything else, you can be the smartest guy in the room, but if everyone hates your guts because you're an absolute nightmare to work with, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. In the real world, we'll just get them fired if they're not doing their part. Girlfriend did speech and debate in high school. I didn't. Really wish I had. In high school geometry, a subject I always disliked, I never understood the purpose of calculating the circumference of a circle. That was until I made a Chinese pizza and forgot the equation. So I had to scramble to do this equation in the middle of the grocery in order to figure out how many egg rolls were needed for the stuffed crust. Now I will never forget. What in the heck is Chinese pizza? History and civics. Yeah, context is really important when trying to understand current events. I have a slightly different one. My brother has severe intellectual disabilities and went to a special school. We thought it was the dumbest thing ever that his teachers taught him to take things out of one container and put them in another. But now as an adult, if my nearly crippled mother points at the washing machine, he will remove the clothes to the basket. He will also empty shopping trolleys and car boots of groceries. A truly magnificent skill for someone without language. Teenage me also enjoyed human biology but didn't see the practical use, as I knew biology was not my future career. But basic understanding of how the body and organs function separately and together has stood me well in understanding medical issues of friends and family. I had a pre-calculus teacher in high school who would say, no, you will never use these formulas in the real world. What you will use is the critical thinking involved in solving these problems. Math trains your brain to take accessible information and use it to find a solution. I'm paraphrasing, especially that last sentence, but to be fair, I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I try to explain it to people by asking if they've ever seen an athlete lie down on a field in the middle of a game and start pushing heavy objects up with their arms. Of course not, but they use the muscles in their chest in other ways, and so part of their conditioning includes bench pressing. Math. It is a really abstract subject, but when you grow up you learn that everything works because of it. The problem is that they don't really show you how to use it. It's like being shown, in excruciating detail, all of the workings of an airplane without ever bothering to explain what flying is. If you don't attach the concepts, they'll be forgotten except by the small number of students that find it genuinely interesting. Typing. Students used to groan about taking typing class, but even if not used in an office setting for a job, becoming an accurate, Fast typist has proven helpful at the computer in so many everyday applications. I learned all my typing skills while chatting with 10 friends at once on AOL Instant Messenger. Statistics is really important. If you don't understand statistics, you really can't interpret data at all. Ugh. Every newbie to my job needs to understand the business value of the median. Stole this off another Reddit post a while back. The resiliency to do what you need to do, when you ought to, whether you want to do it or not. Best advice I ever heard for holding down a job in the real world. A huge thing in Canada is not having a French requirement in schools after the 9th grade. So many of us don't take the time to learn the language, and for many jobs it can be a requirement to be fluent in both of Canada's official languages. If some people had a basic grasp on biology and possibly microbiology, they wouldn't be against vaccines, and they would understand that the cold weather doesn't make you sick, it's the cold virus that does. Also, dimensional analysis helps me solve almost any question. I am in nursing school and I don't have to memorize a single formula because I know dimensional analysis. Pretty much everything. In high school, I actually said I don't know why they are wasting my time with this crap. I am never going to use it. Then I went to college, and to my amazement, I needed to know all the crap they had tried to teach me. How to take notes, how to write essays, how to study, time management. All the bulls those bastards tried to force on me against my better judgment. Turned out, I needed that crap. At 50 I decided to go back to full-time study. I started with a bridging course which, in 6 months, taught me all of the skills those poor teachers tried to inflict on me in high school. Suddenly it was fascinating. I had a terrible hunger to grab everything I could learn. I would finish my essays a week early so that I could submit a draft to the tutor so she could suggest improvements. I wanted every essay to be better than the last, and strangely, when I didn't start them the night before they were due, and write them in a single, coffee-fueled extravaganza, they did get better. Youth is truly wasted on the young. And there's the difference between being at school because you're forced to, and being at school because you want to. I'm going back to school in a year to learn a new trade and totally reorient my career, and I'm already looking forward to it. I can already see myself putting much more effort into it than when I was in high school and in college. History. The same mistakes over and over again. People just keep invading Russia. In middle school, grade 7-8, Canada, we had this one course which was split into 4 classes, 1 semester each, sewing, cooking, and 2 shop classes. Everyone wanted to be in the shop classes. One semester you'd build a rocket and you pass if it launches and lands with its parachute safely. The other, you'd make a small wooden rocket car and raise them. Both bird courses. I'm a giant, fat, nerd geek. I didn't give much of a crap about shop stuff. I just wanted to chill on a computer and be lazy, so I enjoyed sewing and cooking more, while everyone else hated them and considered them a waste of time. I'm 35 and can cook almost anything I want to with no problem. Meanwhile, I know 35-year-olds who make macaroni and cheese by microwaving the noodles in 1 hour of water, not draining them, adding the cheese and going, this doesn't seem right. I'm 35 and I see people who get a tiny hole in expensive clothing, throw it out and complain about having to spend money to replace it. Meanwhile, I get a hole in something, I go grab my sewing kit and fix that cocksucker in 5 minutes, wondering how some of these people manage to breathe unassisted. That has to be the first nerd rant I've ever seen on sewing. Useful skill though. The dudes in my home ec classes in school should have probably realized millennial men need to know how to cook too. Math is literally used everywhere. The home language. As elitist as it may sound, it makes a difference between a person who shouts nonsense and somebody who discusses arguments. Religious education. YTF do I need to learn about Sikhs and Hindus? I live in England lol. My first city job was in Leicester. I wish I knew more. Writing. I know you're a STEM major but you will still need to know how to write. German children in English class. Why should I bother learning the difference between simple past and present perfect? The Britons and Americans don't differentiate anyway and similar grammar issues. science. I thought I'd grow up and be a lawyer or a librarian or a soldier and would never need to learn no goddamn chemistry. I dropped out of college at 19, joined the army, and have had a really successful career in HR and consulting ever since. Now I'm almost 30, did an EMT course for shoots and giggles, fell in love with the medical field and am trying to get into medical school. I had to go back and relearn everything so I wasn't constantly lost. I've retaken the 0-level science courses twice, not because I didn't do well, but because I didn't feel like I had a grasp of the information. I am better and more competent now, but holy crap, following along in HS Bio would have served me well now. Math users not reading each other's points and commenting math. Generic non-example reason why math. For that reason, I say English class in English speaking nations, because it tried to teach reading comprehension. Almost everything. Understanding math fundamentally has helped me understand my finances. Understanding a science helped me really hit it off with my now wife who likes me explaining science things to her. Understanding the basic 5-paragraph essay has helped me teach kids how to write, which is now my job. And understanding chaos theory and the equations governing it from Professor Katrakis, who only had one pair of pants, khakis, 2 shirts, yellow and blue, and guessing his outfit was a fun game in undergrad, helped me with a Reddit comment I made like 30 minutes ago that no one read. I'm a middle school science teacher and it's a little more abstract than just knowing a bunch of important facts. In fact, I couldn't care less about the information. I'm concerned with students' abilities to use their goddamn brains to think about the world around them. As a science teacher, I'm teaching students how to correspond with adults and higher ups, how to have professional conversations, how to design experiments, collect information, critically evaluate data. Even if they don't become scientists, this is a problem-solving skill. Eliminating and evaluating variables is something educated adults do on a regular basis. I require a level of organization that will help later in life, prioritizing deadlines and assignments, etc. I do not accept late homework unless there is a legit documented excuse, appointment, emergency. Sally worked so hard on this but she still couldn't understand how to do it. Could she have one more day and help after school? Deadlines are freaking important in society. I don't like it either, but y'all know who DGAF. Credit card companies, landlords, utilities companies. On time means on time. I think it's more important for students to know how to use their instructional resources, binders, notes, text, internet, than how to spit back facts. They may be critically evaluating a text on the water cycle, but the real meat is not that they know every freaking step of the water cycle. It's that they can create a model in their minds or on paper or with materials for how systems work. We live in society, a massive system. Cause and effect is incredibly important. Most importantly, why do I need to know this? Your learning information is actually creating more neuronal links in your brain, keeping you sharp. It's like asking, why do I need to keep exercising after I already built up muscles? Neuroplasticity goes both ways. Don't use it, you'll lose it. Latin, the handy etymologies, the sense of historical context, the ease in evoking demons. Surprisingly edifying language to learn. I love myself some demonic rituals. Boolean algebra, Boolean logic, used a lot in computer programming. I am a graphic artist. The amount of math I have to use for my job is just ridiculous. This is the goodest flyboy. He will bring you 10 years of happiness in exchange for a like on this video. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.